When we examine conflicts like the Korean War or the European occupation during World War II, much attention is focused on large-scale battles, supply lines, or geopolitical outcomes. What is less often highlighted, yet equally decisive, is the quiet struggle of individuals and small units to evade observation, reconnaissance, and ambush. Partisans and resistance fighters frequently survived not by firepower, but by their ability to detect surveillance, read patterns, and exploit terrain. These lessons, while historically grounded, carry relevance today for anyone interested in situational awareness, personal security, or survival in environments where observation may be constant. Before we go further, subscribe to Backyard Wisdom to explore practical, safe applications of historical lessons in evasion, surveillance detection, and adaptive strategy. Observing patterns was often more important than physical cover. Resistance groups in occupied Europe understood that avoiding ambushes began long before a confrontation occurred. It was rooted in observation, understanding routines, noting repeated patrols, and identifying moments of vulnerability. Historical records show that partisans often mapped routes based on timing, visibility, and likely enemy behavior. Sometimes they would wait several days to move, choosing the precise moment when observation was least effective. Modern applications of this principle are, well, simple in concept, but profound in effect. Attention to patterns, repetition, and predictability allows an individual to anticipate risk and adapt movement to reduce exposure. Reading the environment is a skill that must be practiced. Evasion was rarely about hiding behind a single object. It was about, integrating with the environment. Forests, urban ruins, and mountainous terrain offered natural concealment, but, effective use required training and understanding. Partisans evaluated light, shadow, foliage, and terrain features to remain unseen while moving. Small details, reflections, noise propagation, or even, say, the presence of animals could reveal position. This careful attention to environmental cues is a principle that applies equally to modern survival urban situational awareness, or, honestly, even navigating high-traffic areas with a concern for privacy or safety. Failures in surveillance detection often led to heavy consequences. Historical accounts are filled with examples of partisan groups compromised because they failed to recognize surveillance. Simple errors, such as ignoring a repeated pattern of enemy patrols or moving through a zone without noting natural observation points, frequently resulted in exposure or ambush. These failures highlight the broader lesson that evasion is not instinctive. It is disciplined, deliberate, and requires continuous assessment. Observing, predicting, and verifying the environment are as essential to survival as any tool or weapon. Modern surveillance tools can be understood through historical techniques. While partisans relied on human observation, modern surveillance encompasses cameras, drones, and electronic tracking. The fundamental principle remains consistent. Awareness of observation points, understanding angles of visibility, and anticipating movement relative to those points is critical. Improvisation and adaptation were central to evasion. No plan survived first contact intact. Partisans repeatedly adapted when conditions changed, such as altered patrol patterns, unexpected reinforcements, or terrain disruption. Improvised evasive actions, like detours, temporary concealment, or even creating misleading tracks, were often decisive in maintaining operational security. This really reinforces a principle valuable in modern contexts. Flexibility, adaptability, and rapid decision-making under stress are just as important as preparation. The environment is dynamic and, success really depends on the ability to respond thoughtfully to unexpected conditions. Evasion relied on both individual skill and collective discipline. Partisan groups often operated in teams. Coordination, communication, and a shared understanding of cues and signals allowed groups to move through contested areas without exposure. But honestly, single mistakes could endanger the entire unit. Subtle signs often revealed surveillance long before threats materialized. Experienced partisans developed an intuitive understanding of what constitutes observation. A shadow in a window, a repeated vehicle, displaced foliage, or subtle sounds of human activity could indicate monitoring. These small cues allowed for preemptive adjustments, enabling evasion rather than reactive defense. The lesson is that awareness is cumulative. Noticing minor, repeated anomalies over time builds a reliable picture of the environment and helps anticipate risk before it escalates. Historical evasion practices inform modern preparedness training. Many survival and security programs today, actually incorporate principles derived from historical partisan methods. The history of partisan ambush evasion is more than just an academic curiosity. It really reveals the practical ways in which humans have survived under surveillance, threat, and environmental pressure. Studying these methods, it deepens our understanding of resilience, preparation, and situational awareness. They teach that survival depends not solely on tools or firepower, but on observation, discipline, and adaptation. If you value in-depth historical analysis and practical lessons derived from the ingenuity of individuals under extreme conditions, subscribe to Backyard Wisdom. Share this video with anyone interested in historical survival, modern situational awareness, or the principles of evasion that connect past and present. By preserving these lessons, we honor the skill, discipline, and resourcefulness that allowed people to endure and adapt under extraordinary circumstances.